Us fans of Wes Anderson have been getting fed. He's been more prolific in the last few years than he has been at any other stage of his career. Not only has he made a movie every other year since 2021, but with the backing of Netflix, he produced 4 short films in 2024. What I'm trying to say is, he's been creative. With this output, some may question whether he's putting the effort that he did back when he was taking far more time on each script and working closely with Owen Wilson. And I want to be clear, that's not me. I don't have those questions. There are people who don't enjoy where Wes Anderson's work has gone in the third era of his career. I can kind of understand it. I guess understand is the wrong word. I can see the trends they're pointing to, but I just can't even imagine hating on how he's changed. I don't think that he has become too Wes Anderson for his own good. Just so y'all can know what my perspective is, I'd say my 3 favorite films in his catalog are Asteroid City, The French Dispatch, and Isle of Dogs. And if you caught those years, you'll know those are the most recent films that he's made. And look, I love the Darjeeling Limited, Brown Guy, and found new appreciation for Rushmore on a recent rewatch. But that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate that Wes Anderson has become the defining American auteur in recent years. You see, there are very few filmmakers who could have a TikTok trend about him. While I can see the argument that this is a caricature of his work, I think it still points to the strength and pervasiveness of his hallmarks. You could probably do a Wong Kar-wai TikTok trend. I mean, arguably the entire online aesthetic nowadays is due to his influence on indie cinema, but he's older and less active today. You could do a Tarantino trend, but that would probably be more through the dialogue, the profanity, and really aggressive squibs. In terms of pure visual language, Anderson is unparalleled, which is why I'd argue that the Phoenician scheme doesn't work alone. I'm gonna come out with a video towards the end of this month about the 9 eras of my favorite director, Billy Wilder. And I say that not as self-promo, but as an explanation of how much I love putting directors' work into periods. I think periodization is like the most underrated thing that art historians can do, and film lovers don't do it nearly enough. However, I wouldn't do a video like that on Wes Anderson because he's not done working. Anything I make would immediately become obsolete. Case in point, the Phoenician scheme. Through the work that Wes Anderson made with his previous 3, by which I mean The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar, collection of short films, Asteroid City, and The French Dispatch, one would assume that they had figured out what Anderson's aesthetic had become. Even I felt that it was almost like the natural conclusion of a career, but that's a glaring misstep because the dude's not done. Those 3 projects have a very stage play aesthetic, taking his influences like Australian novelist and playwright Stefan Zweig up to a whole other stratosphere compared to the Grand Budapest Hotel, which was chiefly inspired by his work, The Post Office Girl. The narration is directly intertwined with the work itself. In the case of the Dahl adaptations, it's because the stories are, of course, narrated by Roald Dahl himself and often told in first person by the children protagonists. While The French Dispatch and Asteroid City are embedded in other art forms, newspaper and stage play respectively, which lends itself nicely to creating layered storytelling. These works were, as Benoit Blanc would say,
Donut hole has a hole in it, Senna. It is not a donut hole, but a smaller donut with its own hole.
Unlike these works, the Phoenician scheme is a lot closer to something like The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. It's a character study, or should I say relationship study, between a father and their child whom they did not raise closely. It's very involved in the occupation of the father, and the child tries to connect by embracing his work wholeheartedly. Even in its cinematography, the airplane serves a similar role to the submarine in Life Aquatic. Although Phoenician scheme is substantially more picturesque, with the shallow matte painting aesthetic of Anderson's sets becoming more prevalent, the touches of animation once again align the 2 films. And I would say these similarities track all the way until one very critical scene. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a fight scene at the end of the film. In it, Anderson breaks his rules. The camera moves and rattles. The fight, although absurd, has genuine weight. There's real blood, not like the blood in French Dispatch. And the subjects don't get golden age glamour shots. They get dirty, shaky close-ups. In this scene, I felt that Anderson was taking a step in a new direction. This most recent series of films from Wes Anderson that I would describe as his post-meta-modern works, after a long series of meta-modern, new, sincere films, seems to be fading out. And I think that you can't truly appreciate the Phoenician scheme without seeing what it's like when Anderson's play, post-meta-modern style is 100% of the frame and the aesthetic. I honestly think that's why the film is getting some pretty good reviews, especially after Asteroid City, which did not get the love that it deserved at all. Like I said, it's a relationship study. There's a focused protagonist. Although the cast is big, they're more an amusing menagerie than a deeply interwoven group of broken people. I don't want to say that I think that Anderson is getting more conventional to get the bag again, because I don't think that he does any of this for money. If he did, he would make a lot more Prada commercials. But I do think that this is in dialogue with the films that he's made recently, or arguably all of his oeuvre. It seems like he's flipped things on his head. He took his father and son duo and made her a nun. He took Zissou out from under the water and flew him through the sky. And he also lets the child have a happy ending. To me, that speaks wonders about the morality of this film. It tells me a lot about what Zsa could represent. And because I got this video out quick, I don't know if I really have the analysis together for what I think it all means, but I do know that the Phoenician scheme works best when you've at least understood what he's meant before.